Morning, good morning, good morning. It's the one and only Molly Major for the probably caffeinated morning show. See, while the whole 9 to 5 idea of things, while the whole 9 to 5 is the scam idea of things is very true. What you have to also understand is that it's also a stepping stone. See, I feel like we get caught up in, believing that a 9 to 5 is a scam, which it is. But it also help you get to the next level in your life. Without that 9 to 5, how would you be able to afford things? How would you be able to support yourself in your lifestyle? You got to understand that you have a negative outlook on your circumstances. Anybody and everybody that I know started with a 9 to 5. Now, some people started out doing illegal activities to obtain some of the things that they have. But like I said before, most of us, we start off with a 9 to 5, and that help us get to the level that we want to get to. Once we get to that next level, we able to support our lifestyle. We able to do some of the things that we always wanted to do. Like I was having a conversation with Kaylee, and I was telling her, you've been working at this job for 10, 15 years, and they fired you out of the blue. You got to understand, right, that it was supposed to happen. It was bound to happen. It's a 9 to 5. When you work for somebody else, when you work for a company, they could fire you at will. If they don't like your performance, if they don't like your attitude, or they just don't like you as a person, they can fire you. They can get rid of you, without notice. So you have to understand that ownership is the key to life. Ownership is the key to having a better life. And being able to, support yourself the way you want to support yourself and building generational wealth, right? See, what I realized at an early age, right? When you work in a corner for yourself, when you have ownership, it's yours to lose. Nobody can come take anything away from you. You built that business. See what I'm saying? You built that lifestyle. So it's yours to lose. I feel like these are conversations that we should be having amongst ourselves and our families. We don't sit down long enough in silence to be able to get some of the ideas and be able to form, strategies that'll help us in life. We don't do that anymore. You dig what I'm saying? That's why I said, man, I had to understand that if I ever wanted to build generational wealth, if I ever wanted to be free, I had to start something for myself. See what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Don't start a business. You have to build a garden. Look at it like this. You have to build a garden that attract multiple butterflies, multiple insects, multiple animals. You have to build something that's going to attract people to what you built. Look at, and this is an analogy, of course, but look at the butterflies as people, opportunities. You see what I'm saying? The more bees and butterflies that come to your garden, the better. That creates those different streams of income for you, right? So now By you having all of these different streams of income of money, you can never go broke. You can never need for anything because you built that garden. You built something that attracts. You see what I'm saying? You have to attract wealth. That's why I always say, right? You have to become a person that can hold the wealth that you're asking for. You have to become that person first. You have to build that person, almost like a video game. You have to build that character up that attracts the things that you want to attract. You see what I'm saying? Like, some people are just put on this earth to work a 9 to 5 and show go-getters and show hustlers and, you know, show driven people what not to be. And we put on this earth to actually make things happen. You see what I'm saying? We put on this earth to create wealth and create, you know, a lifestyle that can feed other people. So it's just like I said, man, the more you go through, the better you get. You know, the more experience you have under your belt, the better person you are. You know, your ability to deal with stress is directly correlated to the experiences that you go through in life, which shapes your character. That's why I say, I would tell anybody, man, you have to be grateful for the things that you already have. Stop comparing yourself to people online. You see what I'm saying? Stop comparing yourself to what others have or the direction that others are going into. And focus, double down on your life. Double down on the things that you have already. See what I'm saying? All of us is blessed. All of us are destined for riches. All of us are born with gifts. But it's how you build those gifts. It's how you receive those gifts. That's what determines everything. So if it's like you're not working on yourself, if you're not constantly building that character and trying to get to the next level in your life, what do you expect? Now you're trapped at a 9 to 5 and you're bound to get fired at some point. You can't work forever. See what I'm saying? This won't happen. So when you start to view things like that, you start to view life, you know, in that sense, it all works out for the better. You see what I'm saying? That's just how I look at it. You know, it took me years to develop such a mentality and such a mindset. It really did, you know. I had to go through what I had to go through just to become what I am. You know, that's knowledge for you. Everybody's not built for it. See what I'm saying? Everybody can't have such a mentality that instantly puts them in a better position in their life, man. Like I said, some people are put on this earth to show others what not to do and what mistakes not to make. You know, how to be better from them not being better. Like I said, this is a direct conversation that I was having with Kaylee. You know, she was so upset. You know, she was mad about how everything happened and, you know, the direction of things. Because it's like when something like that happens, you know, it directly changes your lifestyle. It messes up everything. You see what I'm saying? Like, somebody say, oh, you're fired on Monday. Now, especially if you don't have savings or you don't have anything already planned or set up for yourself, now you're scrambling to like make things better for yourself. And you're trying to figure out everything. That's why I said, man, you gotta always be in planning mode. You gotta always be, striving for better for yourself. It's that simple, man. You can't let up. And it's really that easy. Like I said, when you understand that ownership is the key to everything, now you have a direction to work towards. You have a direction to work in. But like I said, man, 9 to 5s are not meant to be a permanent thing. You see what I'm saying? Even if I understand if you get promoted to a leadership role, I get it, But again, that's just another trap for you to, forget your dream and forget what it is that you're supposed to be doing. You're in a leadership role. It's just a title. Why you think, these 9 to 5s and these careers pay you so much money? They pay you all of that money to forget your dream and to forget what it is you do best as a human being. They pay you all of that money to forget the gifts that you already have, your God-given gifts. Life is one big maze. It's not a right direction to go into. It's not a wrong direction to go into. Me personally, I feel like when we was put on this earth, we already had a preordained path to follow. Now, some may argue that that's not true, because if you had a preordained path, why do some people have alternative paths? Like, they may have both parents in the household, and they may go to college, right? And they do one stupid thing, and now they go to jail or prison. You see what I'm saying? That's why some people may argue that. But if you really think about it, right? Maybe you doing that stupid thing and you going to jail and prison was the path. So once you get out, now you're going into the right direction because you'd have learned from your mistakes. It's not easy though, man, especially nowadays with the economy, and you got inflation, and homelessness is at a all-time high. Homelessness is at an all-time high because of inflation. It's also at an all-time high because, again, people didn't believe in themselves early on in life to be able to change that. Again, they bank everything on a 9 to 5. They bank everything on a company. If new management come in tomorrow and they change everything up, and all of a sudden they need to downsize and cut positions, now what? If you don't have any savings, or you don't have, or your credit is maxed out, you don't have credit, you see what I'm saying? You have nothing going but that one stream of income. What do you think gonna happen? You see what I'm saying? So that's why I felt the need to even start a podcast, a morning show. It wasn't because, so many podcasts are being broadcasted, let me start one. No, I'm not trying to follow a trend. It's something that I see on a day-to-day basis. I see so many people making just same mistakes. And I'm like, man, I catch everything. So I'm like, you know what? Let me try to start a podcast to give people, to inform people of these mistakes so they won't have to follow down the same path. A wise man learns from others' mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes, and they correct it early on. And you have to be grateful, for the little things that you already have. Because I feel like if God see you being grateful for the little things that you already have, you'll be given more. It's the one and only Marley Major, but probably caffeinated morning show.